harness racing. It's wild. It's exciting. It's huge entertainment. The most exciting 2 minutes you'll ever know. It's not just a horse race. It's action, thrills, jackpots, good times, good friends, great atmosphere, and just plain good old-fashioned fun. The United States Trotting Association says, get into harness racing at a track near you.
Life is a hard-fought race. You're due for a win.
At Grand River Raceway, you watch others run in circles.
Grand River Raceway promises an unforgettable evening of entertainment. Live harness racing, 200 slot machines, fine casual dining, and a winning attitude.
Grand River Raceway!
Expect an experience.
Visit GrandRiverRaceway.com.
Every Sunday evening at 9 p.m., relive those classic maritime harness races with MaritimeClassics.8m.com.
On the outside, here comes Waver. It's Boomer Drummond. Waver on the outside. They come on home. That's Waver. It's Waver. Waver. Boomer Drummond at the wire. That's Waver and Boomer Drummond. It's going to be Waver. Mile 1:54 and 2.
Vance Cameron.
And the wrap and the cup and saucer. Sandals, Dexter leaving out. Magical GG with him. Driven to win with rail control. Stacking them up 3 wide into the turn. Sparkler towards the rail. Which Camelot getting away 5th. Our first Falcon towards the rail 6th. Then in 7th, Harmony P. Back from the pass. Trailing the field. That is driven to win. In line to Wally Hennessy. They're on the choo-choo here. Going by the quarter pole. Pacing second towards the rail. Magical GG opening quarter shop. 27-1. Boom! Just like that. That's Wally. And that's driven to win on the front end here. Here comes Sparkler. Up and out of the outside. Magical GD towards the rail third. Sandals Dexter. Now he's left uncovered. Fourth to the outside. Following him 5th. Our first the Falcon. 6th up the rail. That is a Rich Camelot. 7th to the outside. Harmony P. The trailer. That's back from the pass. 55 seconds flat for a half. That's 27 and 4 in a second. Driven to win. Leading him up the back stretch. They're in 3/4 pole land now. And he's opening up on Sparkler second. Sandals Dexter got his work cut out now. He's racing at third. Fourth to the outside. Our first Falcon. 3/4 track record time. 1:23 and 3. World-class driver. Wally Hennessy. And his horse driven to win. Nothing now. They're up against the clock. They're home and cold. Cup and saucer. 46. Driven to win and Wally Hennessy all the way. It's Weaver, winner's accolade. 1:27 and 4. Overnight storming on the inside, Buckley up on the outside, and closing as they race along. Here comes overnight storm. Rev your engine to the top. Wheels wide, you pull it. Island Dividends from CS tonight. Now, CS tonight. 3/4 gone by. Native
Welcome to a special one-hour edition of At the Track, and tonight we're going to chronicle for you the 1986 harness racing season in Atlantic Canada, and this season will probably go down as one of the most interesting and event-filled in many decades. We'll also take a look at the major races of 1986, including the free-for-all events touching base at the Atlantic Province's tracks. Also on our schedule for this evening, the Atlantic Sires Stakes for 86, including all the stakes champions. We'll take a look at the Rothman Sire Stakes, those big money events, and once again, they prove to be interesting features. Atlantic Canada has also been known for the quality of its drivers and also for interesting and tight driving races. That's no different this year. We'll take a look at the top drivers for 1986. We'll go behind the scenes as well and speak with some of the track management concerning the 86 season and an outlook for 1987. Doug Harkness of Atlantic Post Calls will be along, and Doug will chronicle for you the candidates for the 86 Horse of the Year honors. Well, speaking of horses and top horses, it was back in the late fall of 1985 that an island horseman, quite by chance, journeyed to the sale in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. While at that sale, and like I say, he was there by chance, he picked up a horse called Rumpus Hanover. Rumpus went on to be one of the great success stories of the season. Dan Vio has the story of Rumpus Hanover.
Ian Smith bought Rumpus Hanover in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania for $12,000. Sired by Tyler B., with Romola Hanover, one of the world's top broodmares in his mother's bloodline. He was a real bargain. Other horses with the same sire were selling for between $60,000 and $80,000. Rumpus Hanover is now worth millions, literally. He shaved 1/5 of a second off the world record for 2-year-old pacers, set in 1984 by Annihilator, one of the greatest horses in harness racing history. Yet Ian Smith says he never intended to go to Harrisburg for the sale.
I was in Halifax at the races, and Wayne McRae came over to me and asked me if I'd like to go to Harrisburg. One of their people, Sonny Sitman, couldn't make it, and there was an empty seat, so I jumped in and went along.
Turned out to be a pretty good break, eh?
It certainly was. Dale figured that he had a pretty good horse right from early spring, but when you're going up into the major leagues, it's you really have to have a lot of horse. We didn't know how much we had. So I guess the first stake, the Greenwood Champlain Pace, that was the first indication that we had a fair lot of horse. He won those relatively easy and gave us a bit of encouragement.
He trained great. He never had a bad day, the colt. He had 14 starts this year. He had 10 wins. He was second and third, and he won his other start and then placed 8th for interference. He made 127,000 Canadian. It was a great year.
Bill O'Donnell of Spring Hill drove Rumpus Hanover to the world record mark. Ian Smith was there.
Quite a few Islanders around that day, and I didn't realize what was happening, but they didn't take long telling me that we got a world record. And
Must have been a bit of a celebration, I would think.
Well, we tried to do our best.
What's in the future for Rumpus Hanover? Ian Smith says he'll race as a 3-year-old.
I'm pretty near positive we'll be racing them, whether I sell part of them or not. Whoever owns them will be racing them, because he's eligible to upwards to 40 stakes, and some of them are fairly major races. And I think that's where you'll have to prove himself.
In Charlottetown, I'm Dan Vio for At the Track.
The fastest horses going after the richest purses. That's the glamour side of harness racing everywhere, and in Atlantic Canada it's no different. Here it's called the Maritime Free-for-All Circuit. And as usual, that circuit starts off in St. John at Exhibition Park Raceway with the annual running of the Alexander Memorial. And this year, a familiar name was back in the winner's circle, a horse that hardly ever lost at EPR. Here's Ingham Palmer with the call of the Alexander Memorial. On to the three-quarters. Golden Winners accolade by 2 with Glengale Galaxy staying with him. Then back 5 lengths to Rev Your Engine. He's racing at third. They were by the three-quarters, 1:30 and 3 around the top turn. Winners accolade, Glengale Galaxy. Winners accolade now the 2.5. Glengale Galaxy back 5 lengths to the rest. They swing for home now. It is Winners Accolade and Glengale Galaxy again. Second coming on. Winners Accolade, Glengale Galaxy. Here they are at the line. Winners Accolade, then Glengale Galaxy. Rev Your Engine, and Flight Officer gets 4th. Well, the circuit then moved on to Fredericton Raceway, one of the prettiest tracks in Atlantic Canada with those long rows of stately elm trees in the backstretch. It was way back in 1937 that a horse by the name of Walterdale paced in 2:02 1/2. That stood for many years as a standard for Atlantic Canada. The event in Fredericton, of course, is the Walterdale Memorial, and it was down to 3 starters by the time the race rolled around, but as Gerald Bishop will tell you, an extremely exciting finish.
Racing for the three-quarters, it's Glengale Galaxy. Captivator now up 2 on the outside. Burners to light 3 along the rail. There by the three-quarters in 1:30, it's Glengale Galaxy. Captivator goes off stride. It's Glengale Galaxy, Burners Delight, and Captivator off the 7/8, heading for home. It's a Glengale Galaxy, Burners Delight now out from 2. It's Burners Delight, Glengale Galaxy, Captivator as they come to the wire. It's going to be Burners Delight, Glengale Galaxy, and Captivator.
Well, the action then swung over to Champlain Raceway in Dieppe, and it was the $50,000 Monktonian. The second time the purse had been $50,000, the richest in Atlantic Canada. And again, an import of horses from Upper Canada, headed by Wits End's Gypsy, who went on, earning more than $300,000 in a long and illustrious 1986 season. Here's the final few steps of the $50,000 Monktonian from Champlain Raceway.
Out in front with 3, it's still Wits End Gypsy, Angel Shadow driving to. Here comes High Class Minbar on the outside. Morning Joy racing 4 on the rail. Greener Pastures moving 5. They go to the third. Race on by the three-quarters and 1:26. It's Wits End Gypsy out in front. Angel Shadow is holding in there. He's second by 2 lengths. Moving up on the outside now. Ambro Delaware, Morning Joy at the 7 and 6. Come on home. Wits End Gypsy is the leader. On the outside is closing. Ambro Delaware on the inside. Angel Shadow racing to the line. Wits End Gypsy is going to be. Wits End Gypsy, Morning Joy, Ambro Delaware. 1:54 and 2.
Along with the Maritime Free-for-All Circuit in 1986, a mini-circuit was set up. It started at Quebec City Raceway, then down to Champlain Raceway, over to Sackville Downs, and finishing off at Rideau Carleton in Ottawa. That brought together the top horses in Eastern Canada. Wits End's Gypsy was the winner of the Monktonian. When they moved on to Sackville Downs, the same field, and there was very little change. Here's Scotty Kane with the Cruikshank Memorial at Sackville Downs.
They're driving to the backstretch to the three-quarters, and Greener Pastures is strong on the front end. Wits End Gypsy's outside. Angel Shadow looks to get out 3 at the rail. Ambro Delaware shows 4 with Morning Joy 5, 1:27 and 4/5. They travel now to the top turn. Here comes Wits End's Gypsy with a rush in the outside against Greener Pastures. 1/8 to go, and here they come to the stretch. They got a shot at the track record. They're turning for home. Wits End's Gypsy on the outside. Greener Pastures, Angel Shadow. Willow Bowl is moving up. Morning Joy in the center. At the wire, it'll be Wits End's Gypsy finishing second. Greener Pastures, the mile in 1:57 and 1/5, a new track record at Sackville Downs.
Ron McClellan of Bathurst has had great horses over the years, including the Ontario Sires Stakes star Turmeric, one of the top 2-year-old trotters of all times in Canada. But he's had some great pacers as well, including the Papermaker, who ran off an amazing win streak early in the season. The scene of one of his greatest victories was at Tartan Downs in Sydney. The Pepsi-Cola Challenge going for $5,000. Here's the Papermaker and Henry Smallwood winning the Pepsi-Cola.
Now Winners Accolade up and at him on the outside. Holding in 3 is Duke Bullet. On the Milner moment. They're into the far turn for the final time. The papermaker still holds down the lead. Winner's Accolade is now a closer second. 3/4 in 1:29 and 4 better than 2 minute speed. They're off the top turn 8 to go. Miraculous Moment 3 deep. Down the stretch to come the papermaker. Miraculous Moment on the outside. The papermaker. Miraculous Moment charging up. Down to the wire. Here we are.
Well, thank you, Norm Kazira. Once again, a great race call from Tartan Downs. Well, the scene then to Truro Raceway, where it was Grand Circuit Week, one of the top attractions in Atlantic Canada. And a highlight of that week, of course, the Dairy Queen Invitational. And it featured a pacer who was to go on and become the fastest 3-year-old of all time in Atlantic Canada. Rev Your Engine was the name of the horse to sight Truro Raceway. Joe Kelly has the call of the Dairy Queen.
They race by the 3/4. Heels Loud is pacing off the top. On the outside, Rev Your Engine is giving chase from 2. Duke Bullet gets into the action 3rd. Smoke Damage to the outside 4. Dropping back is Burner's Delight. They're by 3/4. 1:28 and 4/5. By the 7/8. They come on home with Heels Lad showing the way into the stretch. Rev Your Engine up on the outside, races for 2, looks for and now gets the top. It's Rev Your Engine to the top. Heels Lad, Duke Bullet. It's going to be Rev Your Engine, Heels Lad, and Duke Bullet.
Well, to wrap up the free-for-all circuit, we'll go over to Prince Edward Island. First at Summerside, Winner's Accolade became the first horse to pace a mile in under 2 minutes. That came at Summerside Raceway a few seasons ago in 1:59 and 3 in the Governor's Plate. He came back this season and again 1:59 and 1, another sub-2-minute mile. But we'll go to Charlottetown Driving Park and the jewel of them all, the Gold Cup and Saucer race, and Kevin Gallant has the story of the Cup and Saucer on a wet night.
They're racing down the backstretch, going by the 3/4. Angel Shadow. Here comes Rev Your Engine. He's flying up alongside Angel Shadow. It's Angel Shadow. Rev Your Engine keeps on coming. 1:31 by the 3/4. Angel Shadow. Rev Your Engine. They're neck and neck. 2 of them in contention. Angel Shadow. Rev Your Engine is coming on. Rev Your Engine. Angel Shadow. Angel Shadow. Rev Your Engine. Who's got it? Who's going to win it? It's going to be Rev Your Engine. Angel Shadow. Up for 3 is Ajo.
Well, those were the stars of the Maritime Free-for-All circuit for this season, but we couldn't let this opportunity go by without mentioning a couple of things about the 86 season and those stars. For instance, it will be the last we will see of Winner's Accolade on a racetrack. He injured himself shipping and now has been retired to stud on Prince Edward Island. And Wavor, the horse that went in 1:54 and 2, was also injured, and he is still recuperating. We'll be back with a look at some of the new faces on the scene in a moment's time.
There is an industry in Alberta, rich in history, tradition, and culture. Horse racing and breeding employs over 7,300 Albertans. Our industry ripples throughout Alberta's communities, contributing over $295 million each year to our economy. Awe-inspiring, poetic, breathtaking. Horse racing, a winning Alberta tradition.
Well, it seems sometimes that bad news follows the good news, and of course Sackville Downs closure was the low point of the 1986 season in Atlantic Canada. The track was sailing right along. The wager was topping $82,000 a night. Admissions were up, concessions were up, Program sales were up, and it was shortly after Wits End's Gypsy won the BC Cruikshank Memorial that Sackville Downs closed its doors. Paul Meunier brings us up to date on the Sackville Downs situation.
This is what is left of Sackville Downs. Built by two separate lines of Cruikshanks, sold a couple of years ago to Sussex Leaseholds, and then shortly after that to the Sobeys Empire. This was the testing ground for maritime standardbreds. It had the biggest handle in the area. But Sussex Leaseholds couldn't make a go of it. Purses were high, the take comparatively low. They just didn't see a future for it. So the harness racing industry watched in horror as this track was closed and then sold. The Halifax Horse Owners Association decided something had to be done. Harness racing, they said, must survive in the Maritime's most populous area.
The committee was formed at a general meeting just after the closing of Sackville Downs.
The Horse Owners Association dug into its bank account to pay for a study. With help from the Nova Scotia Development Department, it came up with some designs, including this one. All of the proposals involved the Atlantic Winter Fair site just outside Halifax. On Monday, Nova Scotia Development Minister Rolly Thornhill announced the province would be willing to put in $1 million for a new track. Since the basic proposal called for a $5.2 million complex, Thornhill suggested the federal government would have to come up with at least $3 million, leaving a reasonably serviceable debt for the new track. But Thornhill clearly stated the province would not support a track by itself.
Well, first of all, I don't see any real possibility of the federal government providing $3 million unless the project is part of a substantiated program or project sponsored by the government of Nova Scotia. If the government of Nova Scotia sponsors a project, all kinds of avenues of assistance are open. But if it's simply a project brought forward by the Atlantic Winter Fair in cooperation with the Horsemen or some other private agency, then it has to be fit within the criteria of a specified plan or program, and I don't know of any that would provide that kind of funding.
So, if the province won't sponsor the project, what then?
Well, my advice to the Atlantic Winter Fair would be to do one of two things. One, try to get the government of Nova Scotia to sponsor the project and try to get the government of Nova Scotia to approach the government of Canada, the appropriate officers, on the basis that this was a viable industrial project for the province of Nova Scotia. If the government is not willing to do that, I think they have to put together a plan for the project that will attract various kinds of aid, including interest rate write-downs for loans and almost anything that might be available from a variety of sources.
McRae believes government should be made aware of the wider issue. There's more at stake, he says, than saving a hobby.
It's not only a matter of giving money to a harness racing track, it's a matter of the Atlantic Winter Fair facility is already there, it's already constructed. The harness racing track will complement that to the extent that it will give it another 155 days of activity per year. It will employ 300 plus, and it will make harness racing a reality in Atlantic Canada as far as an industry is concerned. If there is not a track in Metro, harness racing in Nova Scotia and really in Atlantic Canada cannot survive as an industry.
We're going to do everything we can to bring about a racetrack in the Halifax-Dartmouth area, but there is resistance.
So now, the concerned parties, the Halifax Horse Owners Association and the Atlantic Winter Fair, must convince the federal government that harness racing needs a track in Halifax. And the government must be convinced that the people, the taxpayers, should be willing to foot some of that bill. If this sounds like an impossible situation, take heart. At the track has learned there's a group of businessmen watching the McRae Committee's efforts. If they fail, the businessmen will come forward with a proposal for a track in the Burnside Industrial Park. Legendary driver Billy O'Donnell has volunteered his support to the group. There's still some reason to be optimistic. I'm Paul Meunier for At the Track.
Well, many changes in the management scene in Atlantic Canada in 1986 at Summerside Raceway. Bob Dewar, longtime general manager and promotions manager, passed away, and his presence will be missed in Atlantic Canada. At Champlain Raceway, Dave Downey is now the operations manager. At Truro Raceway, Gail McAvoy has taken over as the general manager. At Tartan Downs, Bomber Garib resigned his post and a new GM at Tartan. First to Greg Boone with a story on management changes.
Harness racing in Cape Breton has maintained a level of popularity over the years. And today, Tartan Downs is one of 3 island tracks trying to preserve that with a year-round racing schedule. Louise McDonald is the new general manager here. She's familiar with both operating a business and the sport of racing. The strategy at the present time, according to McDonald, will be marketing the track and racing with a higher profile.
Well, I think we have to present our product to the public. We have a heavy job to do in publicity and education, really, to inform the people and the general public what goes on here, and that it is a real nice form of entertainment, and it's a great place to come.
As usual, Tartan Downs will feature winter racing. They've applied for 2 days a week, Thursday and Sunday.
It's very difficult to predict what our weather is going to be like. However, we're putting it more on our horse population. If our horse population stays up and the fans continue to support us, we'll definitely go twice a week.
Across the Maritimes, the sport has experienced difficulties, and Nova Scotia lost Sackville Downs recently. But for Sydney, some horses have come back since the closure.
The impact is rather long-term, I believe, in the sense of people investing in harness racing industry and buying some horses that they hope will improve and go on to the larger tracks. And, of course, with Sackville not being there now, they're limited in where they can go. However, it hasn't had a real effect on us as yet, and I'm expecting that we're going to build our industry in Cape Breton up to the level where they will have good competition here and be racing for good purses.
Tartan Downs owners and management want people to understand that harness racing is an industry. About 300 horses are eligible for racing at the track, and complemented by the horsemen and employees. It's a multi-million-dollar venture. I'm Greg Boone in Sydney for At the Track. Now here's Connell Smith with more from New Brunswick.
The past year has been a rocky one at Exhibition Park Raceway. Tough times economically and an internal shakeup slowed things down. But all indicators now point to a turnaround.
It's hard to say any one thing is making all the difference, but there certainly is a lot better feeling out there now than there has been for some time.
Director Milton Downey says a big factor is that everyone now seems to be pulling in the same direction.
The bet is increasing steadily, and the crowds seem to be coming back, and the horsemen seem to be very happy, getting along well with the management, and generally speaking, I think things are on the up and up.
Downey's optimism is shared by Exhibition Park President Bill Ganderton.
Oh, yes, it's looking a lot better.
Ganderton says the key to survival is the handle, a term used to describe the amount of money bet by the public on any given race day. If the handle is on the increase, the track pays its bills, the drivers and owners get their purses, and the industry gets healthier. We asked about last Saturday's handle.
We had around 52,000, and I think last Saturday there it was around 58. And then on the Wednesdays, we're getting over 40 now. We, at one time, were down to around 32. Now we're getting around 44, 45 on the Wednesdays. So this is... And when the handle's up, the canteen's up, and our bars are up, it all looks as if we're on the way up.
The spirit of cooperation that touches everything here is seen as one of the biggest factors. The drivers, the owners, the track employees, the board of directors, and the government all working toward making Exhibition Park Raceway a vibrant, thriving concern. And now to the Charlottetown Driving Park and John Morrison.
The racing season is winding down now at the Charlottetown Driving Park. There is racing over the winter, but most of the big purses are off until the spring. Unlike other tracks in the region, some suffering financially, it has been an excellent year for harness racing in Charlottetown.
Wager this year was up about 3% on our daily average. We're up about 150,000 year to date. We're approaching around 4.3 million right now. Last year we were just a little over 4.1. It represents about an 8% increase over 84, so we're going in the right direction. We're coming back up again. So I feel that, we've had a fairly successful year here at the CDP.
Attendance this year at the CDP was steady, and Barry McDonald says part of that was the quality of racing.
I was looking at over the charts the other night, and we had about 70% of our races were better than 210 or better, and about 200 of those races from 205 or better. We had 3 sub 2 minute miles, so the racing's been really good this year.
The highlight of the racing season here is Old Home Week in August, bringing in big crowds and top-flight horses from across the Maritime.
The big highlight, I think, was the Gold Cup and Saucer race itself. I think we witnessed one of the best finishes I've ever seen in the Gold Cup and Saucer. A wager, again, we established the Maritime record for 86, 191,000 the Gold Cup and Saucer night.
Throughout the whole week, we had a really good week. The weather didn't hold the last night, but, we were really pleased with it.
Now, there are some people in harness racing would like to see Sunday racing come to the Charlottetown Driving Park. Can you tell us where that stands and what the track's position is in getting Sunday and how important it is for harness racing?
Well, basically at this time of year, it tends to slow down, and we really do need a weekend date, regardless of Saturday or Sunday. And at the present time, the government has established a task force looking at those types of situations. So I'm hopeful that, they will take their approach to, let us race on Sunday here at CDT.
No major changes are in store for 1987 for the track, but if the 1991 Winter Games come to Prince Edward Island, the track will see a major winter complex on the grounds. This is John Morrison in Charlottetown for At the Track.
Well, there are no changes in management expected at Fredericton Raceway next season, but there could be a change in format. Race Secretary and General Manager Brian Embleton informs me that they are going to look into the possibility of an abbreviated racing season with fewer dates for 87. Well, coming up next, we'll take a look at the Atlantic Sire Stakes, the champions in the Rothman Series, and some of the top drivers. I'll be back with more At the Track in a moment's time.
Gypsy on the outside. Greener pastures. Angel Shadow. Willow Ball is moving up. Morning Joy in the center. 1:25 and 4 3/4. It's Little Black Book, and Little Black Book is going to win it.
Up on the outside, times are changing. Holborn Hanover, a shocker. Perfect. Pierce piloting did it, and Pierce does it again. Then Ron Pierce and the Woodrow Wilson in 1:51 and 3. In the second, Cash Hall third. The American Viking Tron Smetzhammer gets his due with Winsong's Legacy.
The Atlantic Sire Stakes program had one of its greatest seasons ever with the trotting pacing colts and fillies going for $402,595 in purse money. A record-shattering season on the track as well, with categories being smashed right, left, and center. Champion 3-year-old pacing colt was Horton's Thunder, owned by the Thundering Stable of St. John, had 2 wins and 4 seconds. Champion 3-year-old pacing filly Out of Time, owned by Roland Larkin of Hunter River, winning 4 events. Champion 2-year-old pacing filly Kilkerran Elspeth, owned by Watson Piers of Pugwash, with 2 wins and 4 seconds. Champion 2-year-old pacing colt Capillon, owned by Bill Henderson of Sherwood, Prince Edward Island, with 3 seconds and 3/3. But the greatest moment of them all was provided by Bert Heyman's Overnight Storm, as finally, in Atlantic Canada, a maritime-bred 2-year-old went under 2 minutes. At mile 1:59 and 3 came at Champlain Raceway. Here's Overnight Storm pacing into the record book.
Red Wing moving 5, PhD racing in 6. They swing round the paddock turn now for the opening quarter. Go on by the quarter, 28 and 3/5 seconds off the turn. Down the stretch in front of the stand for the first time. Uta Smoky on the outside with the lead on the inside. Racing into Overnight Storm. Buckaroo moving 3. Racing in 4, Pineway Cadet moving 5. Red Wing racing in 6. It's PhD. They go to the turn. Capillon 7th, race into the turn. Dalton Cap moving 8. Charlotte's Night racing 9. Tracy Star as they wing round the turn. turn, go on by the half, 59 1/5 seconds. They're on the backstretch for the final time. Uta Smoky out in front. Overnight Storm racing into Buckaroo, moving 3. PhD fourth, moves on the outside. In along the rail, Pine Way Cadet 6. Capio 7 on the outside. Dalton Camp on the outside, racing in 8. Red Wing 9 as they swing into the turn. Charlotte's Night, they race on by the 3/4 mile marker, 1:29 2. Uta Smoky out in front. Overnight Storm second by a length and a half, and now starts to move. Buckaroo racing in 3. They're round the turn for the final time. Uta Smoky, Overnight Storm to the outside by the 7/8. They drive on home. Uta Smoky is out in front. Overnight Storm and on the inside. Buckaroo up on the outside and closing as they race to the wire. Here comes Overnight Storm. It's going to be Overnight Storm 1, 59 3.
Well, unlike their pacing counterparts, where there was no dominant horse in 1986, there were two dominant names among the trotters. And the 3-year-old trotters, the champion, Dunmore Tweed, owned by Orville Willis of O'Leary, Prince Edward Island, winning 6 consecutive races to take those honors. And the 2-year-old trotters went to the trotting filly, Trottin' Jenny, owned by Vernon Weeks of Hunter River, Prince Edward Island. She was only defeated once all season long on the Atlantic Sires Stakes circuit. We'll take a look at her greatest moment, the final Atlantic Sires event of the season, coming from Truro Raceway. Here's Trotting Jenny.
Closing in second now is Jenny Ayers, and a margin of 10 lengths. Back to Bill Beshore, trotting third. Racing from the 4th spot is Milady Fenway. Dunmore Crystal is trotting from 5. Larney Stone down, off stride once again on the outside, as well as Dunvegan. The trailer, Stormy's Chance. The quarter in 30 and the 2/5. They round the top turn and race in front of the stand for the first time. By the halfway point, it's Old That Treasure with Jenny Ayers giving chase from 2. The rest of the field is well back with Bill Beshore third and side of moving Milady Fenway and more Crystal off stride in the 6th spot. They're by the half in 1:01 3/5. They go by the 5/8 and go down the backstretch for the second and final time. It's Old That Treasure. Clear by 2 lengths. Giving chase is Jenny Ayers from 2. Well back, Bill Beshore third with Milady Fenway racing from 4. Dunmore Crystal 5. Dunvegan. Then Stormy's Chance moves up. And the trailer, as they go down the backstretch, is Blarney Stone Don. There by the 3/4, and here comes Jenny Ayers to the outside to challenge Old That Treasure. They'll hook up as they race to the 7/8. 1:34 the 3/4. 2 of them in contention as they go by the 7/8 on the outside. That's Jenny Ayers now putting half a length in front. At the rail, Old That Treasure is fighting back. They've got less than 1/8 to go as they swing off the turn and straighten out to the stretch side. Here come the 2-year-old trotters home, and Jenny Ayers has the most step on the outside and starts to trot away. It's Jenny Ayers taking the 2-year-old Atlantic Sires Stakes trot up for 2. Is Old That Treasure. The show spot will go to Bill Beshore.
Well, the Maritime provinces have been blessed over the years with an abundance of great drivers, and some of those drivers have gone on to national and international acclaim. Leading the way, of course, is the late Joe O'Brien, the native of Alberton, Prince Edward Island. He left his beloved Maritime provinces in the late 1940s, headed for the United States, and became one of the greatest drivers in harness racing history. But still, many great drivers left and a great race for driving in 1986. Let's look at it. This man is the undisputed king of the region's drivers. Dave Pinckney has won more races than any other driver in history among those who have campaigned almost exclusively in Atlantic Canada. The Nova Scotia native has 2,791 wins. According to the United States Trotting Association's latest figures, he has earned more than $1.6 million in purse money. This season he has 101 wins and a UDRS of 407. Leading the way among Atlantic Canada drivers as of the latest statistics is Gary McDonald, the native of Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. He has 167 wins for this year. Formerly stable at Sackville Downs, the Charlottetown native now splits his time between Charlottetown Driving Park and Champlain Raceway. He's been piling up wins at an impressive rate. He has 1,330 career victories. Right on the heels of Gary McDonald is a relative newcomer to the top driver ranks. He's Danny Romo, a native of Sackville, Nova Scotia, and another former Sackville Downs teamster who is also based now at Champlain Raceway. He has 166 victories, and he and McDonald should go right down to the wire as they've been battling it out so far. For career wins, give Danny Romo 878, a great total. Here's the defending champion for District 10, that's Atlantic Canada of the USTA, Wally Hennessy, who has won the title 4 of the last 5 seasons. His string was interrupted in 1984 by Gary McDonald. Hennessy is now campaigning at Pompano Park in Florida. He has 1,285 career wins. In Atlantic Canada this season, he has 159 victories. It's been a milestone year for Dave Carey, the native of Nova Scotia. He recently surpassed the 1,200 victory career total and is one of the most talented and aggressive drivers in Atlantic Canada. He's another driver who came from Sackville Downs after that track closed this summer and is now stable at Champlain Raceway in Dieppe. So far this season, 144 winners for Dave Carey, and the way he goes in bunches, he'll be right there at the finish. Rounding out the top 6 of drivers in Atlantic Canada for 1986 is Mike Downey. He split his time during the season between Champlain Raceway and Fredericton Raceway, where he makes his home base. He was second overall in Atlantic Canada last season and had a good shot at winning it. However, the decision to go to Montreal may have cost him the title. Downey has 125 wins this season. He's having a super season. He needs only 24 wins to hit the 1,200 career total. The Megabucks and stake races in Atlantic Canada in 1986, again the Rothman-Sire Series. They went for slightly over $200,000 in elimination and finals events, plus the Breeders' Awards. 3-year-old trotting event for close to $8,000 to Dunmore Tweed. That was at Curl. At Champlain Raceway, it was My Lady Fenway winning the 2-year-old trot for $10,000. 2-year-old filly pace, Escarive in 204-1 for $41,000. The 2-year-old pacing colts, Uta Smoky, $42,000. Let's now take a look at the 3-year-old Pacers final from EPR.
Swinging for the lead is second and goes for it. 30-1 by the quarter. Neck and neck around the top turn. Island Governess is on the inside. Blindon up on the outside. Western Beauty on the rail is third. Siesta Night is fourth. Merrily Finesse racing at fifth. Rush Away Metric, some nice range made. Through the stretch they come driving to the half. It is Island Governess with Blindon at her wheel. Racing is second. Western Beauty up tight third on the rail. And Siesta Night on the outside is fourth. A half a minute and 2/5 and around the turn they go. Racing to the 5/8. Island Governess the leader. Blindon hanging a tough second. Western Beauty is third. Siesta Night outside fourth. Rhea Tover. Rush Away Metric. Merrily Finesse Wayne's made some nice. On to the 3/4. It is still Island Governess and Siesta Night 3 wide. Quickly goes to second. Then Western Beauty third. Blindon is spent, fading fourth. They are into the top turn. It is Island Governess and Siesta Night. And then on the rear, Western Beauty third. Merrily Finesse is fourth. Rush Away Metric. Waves made. They swing for home. Island Governess and Siesta Night coming on strong. Island Governess and Siesta Night. Now, Siesta Night, Island Governess, and here they are at the line. Siesta Night, Island Governess, then Wayne's Maid, and Merrily Finesse.
One of the highlights of the Rothman series, the 3-year-old pacing colts. They went at Exhibition Park Raceway in St. John, and it was a major upset on the harness racing scene. Here's the 3-year-old pacing colts final from EPR.
Clear off Kilkerran Direct. Wings for his the lead on the outside. Bay River Chip racing is second. Horton's Thunder up wide, and in between them goes Dr. Benghazi. Kilkerran Direct grabs the lead. Then the Bay River Chip racing is second as they leave the 8th. Dr. Benghazi drives up third. F.G. Charles has fourth. Horton's Thunder racing 5th. Then it's all the glory. Bayside, Quinton, Kilkerran, Derby Trails. On to the quarter, Kilkerran Direct. There's the lead, a length. Bay River Chip racing second. Dr. Benghazi Parks hangs at third. F.G. Charles racing fourth. The revive at opening quarter, 29 seconds. And Dr. Benghazi goes on. He drives on to second. He's swinging for the lead. Kilkerran Direct is the leader as they come by the 3/8 now. Dr. Benghazi is racing second and through the stretch. They come racing to the half. It is Kilcare and Direct, and here comes Bay River Chip out from third. Kilcare and Direct and Dr. Benghazi. Bay River Chip now gets to second going on, and he grabs the lead as they race on by the half in a minute. Head of the turn now, racing to the 5/8. It is Bay River Chip. Kilcare and Direct racing the second. Horton's Thunder on the outside drives on third. Dr. Benghazi. All the Glory, Bayside Quit, and F.G. Charles and Kilcare and Derby. On to the 3/4. The two leaders are neck and neck. Bay River Chip by a nose. Kilcare and Direct back on to get on the inside, and he takes the lead. Kilcare and Direct the leader as they go by the 3/4. Bay River Chip hangs a second. The 3/4. 1:30. It is Kilcare and Direct on the inside. Bay River Chip on the outside. Horton's Thunder racing third, coming up on the inside. Kilcare and Derby. All the Glory. Bayside Quit and swinging home. Kilcare and Direct and Bay River Chip. Then Horton's Thunder. All the Glory. Kilcare and Derby coming to the line. Kilcare and Direct. Here they are. Kilcare and Direct. Bay River Chip. Horton's Thunder.
Well, those are some of the great moments for 1986 on the racetrack, and coming up in just a moment's time, we'll look at some of the candidates for Horse of the Year honor and take a look for 1987, that outlook with Dave Downey from Champlain Raceway. I'll be back in a moment's time.
Officially from the lower turn, 7-year-old big facing bear by Winthrop LaBelle from Alexis Adios.
Well, we've looked at the major races throughout the Maritimes from 1986, and we've highlighted some of the changes behind the scenes. Now we're going to take a look at 1987 and a brief wrap-up of 86. And for that, with me, I have Dave Downey, the operations manager at Champlain Raceway in Dieppe, the Maritime's only 5/8 mile track. Dave, in the media this year, a lot of doom and gloom about the 86 season, how things are staggering along, but from someone who is moved in behind the scenes, seeing what's going on day to day at the racetrack and in constant touch with the people around the Maritimes, how was 86?
In general, it was pretty good everywhere, but at Champlain Raceway in particular, our attendance is up 17% and our bet is up 5%. We're quite encouraged by those facts.
Dave, what are the secrets when it comes to operating a racetrack, getting the people out? The days are long gone. You can just say, we have horse racing and it starts at 7:30. It has to be more than that.
Well, as you know, Howie, we have a fierce competition now for the entertainment dollar and the sporting dollar with the American Hockey League Club in Moncton. We have lotteries that we didn't have before, and it just takes a whole new marketing approach. By our attendance being up 17%, we feel we're doing the job. I think where we missed the boat a little bit as racetrack operators, once we get the people here and they're new people, we can do a little more to educate them and make them feel relaxed when they come to our facility.
Let's take a look at the closure of Sackville Downs, and inside every dark cloud there is sometimes a silver lining, and for Champlain Raceway and for Truro Raceway a little bit of a silver lining when Sackville Downs closed its doors. Is it going to be short-term or a long-term lining?
Well, the reports we get, that they'll have a track in Halifax in the near future. The short-term definitely is a benefit to both Truro and Champlain Raceway. Our quality of horses and our horse supply, plus our quality of people, is quite dramatically improved since Halifax closed. We were lucky enough to get Gary McDonald, Danny Romo, and Henry Smallwood moved up, and we also had Dave Carey come, so we actually got the cream of the crop from Halifax.
What about marketing strategies? You mentioned earlier educating the race fan and showing them what we have. In what areas are we looking? We're looking at reading programs, or just exactly what do you do with a new fan?
Well, if you're going to a hockey game, they give you a ticket, it tells you where to sit, and if you don't know anything about the hockey game, you can still sit there and be entertained. When you walk through the doors of a racetrack, you've paid your way in, now you're inside, you're not sure of the various lounges and things, you don't know about the facilities. You look around, you see somebody has a program, so you buy one, you open it up, and you don't know how to read it. There are a lot of things that we can do to make sure that when the fan leaves, he not only has been entertained, but he is informed to the point where he can make intelligent decisions when he decides to make a wager.
Okay, Dave, just a very few seconds left. 1987, going up, staying the same in racing.
1987 should be a better year all around. With the advent of new construction in Halifax, we are in the midst of some construction here in Moncton for more barn facilities. It looks good for 87, and the quality of horses looks better for 87 than it has in any other year.
That's good. Thank you, David Downey. A positive outlook. Now let's go to Doug Harkness, where we'll take a look of Horse of the Year candidates for 1986.
It was just a great year on the racetrack. Track records fell just about everywhere, not only on the pace, but on the trot, because the trotters were so good. Just an outstanding year on the racetrack. What's happened off the racetrack has just been unfortunate. And hopefully we'll have a better tomorrow in maritime racing. But as far as what went on in the racetracks themselves, as far as the horses' performance, it was just one exciting and tremendous year.
And that's going to make it difficult selecting the Maritime's Horse of the Year. About 50 people have a say in the selection. Representatives from the racetracks, the Horsemen's Association, and the media. They'll choose from a long list of top-notch horses from the various divisions, like 2-year-old pacers, 3-year-old fillies, and so on. The number one criteria will be consistent performance.
Not only in the number of wins or how fast he went, but, perhaps how much money he made. They're all factors in the thing. A horse that's set a lot of track records in his own age, for instance, has to be considered. So you don't just take the fastest horse that's ever been in the Maritimes this year, but you might take a horse who raced the fastest among his divisions.
Here are our top 5 contenders for the prestigious award. From the free-for-all division comes Angel's Shadow, the first repeat winner of the Provincial Cup in St. John, and the fastest ever maritime-bred horse.
They come to the wire. It's going to be Angel's Shadow in 1:56 and 4.
2 3-year-old pacing colts have to be considered, including Maple Grove Shadow of Sackville, Nova Scotia. Bay River Chip, also a great horse. He won the Barrio at Truro and finished second at the Rothman Sire Stakes. The winner of that race, Kilcairn Direct, would certainly have qualified for Horse of the Year honors. But Colic destroyed the colt later in the summer, lending sad irony to owner Gord McLean's post-race comments.
Took him home. Oh, you're going to keep him for a while? Oh, I imagine he'll die with us.
Kilcairn Direct. The Horse of the Year could very well be a trotter. The sweetheart pick would be 2-year-old filly Jenny Ayres, who literally rewrote the record book while setting 6 maritime track records. And 3-year-old Dunmore Tweed selection as top horse would surprise no one. The Island horse became this year's maritime champ by winning 6 of 8 stakes. Those are tough choices for the judges. For the eventual winner,
I think it's the prestige of saying, hey, look, I had the best horse in the Maritimes.
The Horse of the Year will be announced in January. For At the Track, this is Greg Dennis.
When night falls, the stars begin to shine on Canada's greatest nighttime sport.
harness racing. Join the thousands who know a good thing when they see it. They know harness racing has it all. The color, the action, and the high-powered excitement is happening at Ottawa's Rideau Carlton Raceway. Watch the pacers and trotters race to the wire from a climate-controlled riding lounge. Be a part of it all. Catch the action and cheer for the stars when they come out at Rideau Carlton Raceway, Ottawa.
Well, those were the highlights of the 1986 harness racing season in Atlantic Canada. And, of course, because of time, we couldn't touch on all the records and great races throughout the region. But at this time, we do salute those individuals, the owners, trainers, drivers, and grooms who were responsible for the great racing. Don't forget there's harness racing all winter long at the Maritime tracks, Champlain Raceway in Dieppe, Exhibition Park Raceway in St. John, Summerside Raceway, Charlottetown Driving Park, Truro Raceway, and Tartan Downs in Sydney are all racing throughout the winter. Just give those tracks a call and you can enjoy some more racing. I'm Howie Trainer for At the Track.
At the Track has been brought to you by the Maritime Harness Racing Track Operators and Olin Brewery.
Thank you.